The need to excel, to push the mind and body beyond apparent limitations, seems exclusive to a select few in the human race, and more often than not, the rest of us see straining those limits as far more punishing than it's worth. Over the past 2 decades, the challengers of the Texas Water Safari have been numbered in that select few, and yet an even smaller number have completed the grueling 265-mile water course. As they are powered down the 2 rivers and across one bay with only the might of their muscles and the strength of their souls.
Or anybody that ever finishes this race, anybody that ever goes as much as halfway in this race is not ever the same kind of person again.
Willie Tullett completed the race in 1963 and was one of the first 2 women to ever have completed the water safari.
There was a sense of accomplishment about it. I knew a lot more about myself after the race. I knew my weaknesses, I knew my strengths, and I don't think any time after that that I've ever had a sense of real fear.
Stan Emmons finished 8th in the 1981 race. A conductor brakeman for the Southern Pacific in Houston, he decided once was not enough.
During the race last year, I said, what am I doing out here? I'll never do this again. But when I finished, it's something I guess most athletes who finish something like that, you get a feeling of accomplishment. And at the end of the race last year, I said, yeah, I'd do it again. Came back again.
Fellow Houstonian Lynn Larimore joined Stan this year, but for Lynn, this was to be a first.
You think about it. Most people say no. The first 2 years, I told myself no also. Last year after the race, I thought about it semi-seriously. And one day, my partner and his wife and Alberta and I were together, and they kind of threw a challenge at me, and I took it. They weren't serious, but I was. So I took the challenge for myself, and they didn't realize I was serious for a while.
Every year on the first weekend in June, the racers gather at the headwaters of the San Marcos River.
Keep in mind that if you do get bit by a snake, the first thing to determine is did you actually get any venom? And you'll know, they tell me, you'll know pretty quick. Within 5 minutes or so, you'll start feeling a severe burning.
I heard it was really unpleasant. I saw a lot of pictures of guys with hands bleeding and things, and I heard a lot of snake stories. And so, I couldn't stay away after a recommendation like that.
When you do finish, it's definitely a reference point for pain and suffering.
I know I'm going to regret it probably after about 8 or 10 hours, but that's just, I know that that's coming, so that's going to be all right.
I'm ready. This is going to be fun for about an hour or 2. And then
I think it's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. You think I'm kidding, but no, I think it's going to be fun.
Hey. This is our anniversary today, 11 years. Super right.
There was a rush. There was a rush for the first half mile or so is open. It's a small open lake, and there is very heavy competition there at that point. You're racing with everybody, 44 boats.
Stan's wife Lisa was team captain and head cheerleader.
That first day, they looked so drawn and just, so tense. That was, I had butterflies that first day.
Lynn's wife, Alberta, had no official title, but she supported the completion of the quest every step of the way.
It kind of made me nervous, I think. I worry a lot anyway, so.
Big excitement. Why does anybody want to climb a mountain or run a race, a marathon race, or to prove to yourself, I guess, maybe, and to test yourself. It's just as much a race against the other people as it is a race against yourself to see if you can do it.
On the morning of the second day, Stan and Lynn ran into trouble. It came in the form of fatigue, but it was nothing an hour and a half of rest couldn't cure.
I think we both might have quit at that point, but without talking to each other, I think both of us at that point gelled and set our minds that we would go on and finish. And after then, we were both in very good shape. We started cruising and cruising well after that point, and instead of staying where we were in placement among the other boats, we started advancing a little bit.
Early on the third day, 3:30 a.m. to be exact, the first boat appeared at the finish line in sea drift. 42 hours and 30 minutes was no record for the safari, but the four-man crew was happy to have survived. The balance of the day saw Lynn and Stan pushing ever closer to their goal, while 8 other boats achieved the glory that comes from merely finishing.
Don't make me cry.
Then it came, at 16 minutes after 5 in the afternoon. 56 hours and 16 minutes after leaving San Marcos, Stan Emmons had completed his second Texas water safari, and Lynn Larimore his first. Stan says he's taking a year off. He plans to complete it in the near future with his son, and Lynn says,
Perhaps, not necessarily. It's going to be discussed. I have to find a new partner.